Francis Hunt, the chairman of Blue Crane Properties, addressing you this morning. This is the first in a series of clips we'll be making. The tone and nature of this particular initial clip is actually a cautionary one, and we're looking to put out a warning on a number of particular areas or opportunities that are being put towards our South African and other offshore based clients with reference to property investment. There's three areas that we're looking to warn or caution against to help protect investors that are facing propositions like that or considering investing. And one of the first of which is speculative land purchasing in the UK. There have been a number of organisations, in fact on a recent visit to SA, I was surprised at the media, particularly radio advertising, suggesting that South African investors should consider investing in land. The main proposition behind this land being that it is adjacent to rather prestigious towns and related areas that are quite aspirational. The insinuation being that by being alongside existing residential areas, this land would attain planning permission at some point, and a large exponential windfall would come your way. Although most of these operators are candid about the fact that there's no planning in place at present, the suggestion is that in the not too distant future it could be highly expected that such planning would be given. I knew that this was obviously becoming a particularly interesting area when I had South African based friends and colleagues calling me here in the UK inquiring as to whether such investment is a good idea. Well, we've had personal experience ourselves in the UK, and in fact a number of companies were closed down that were doing a similar type operation to UK based investors on UK speculative land, many of which no longer operate. Basically what is happening is agricultural land is being purchased. Roughly 10 years ago agricultural land was purchased for roughly £2,000 an acre. This has climbed to present roughly £12,000 an acre for a variety of reasons. But even still, agricultural land is merely that and is available for farming or whatever licenses exist. It is not zoned or necessarily in a situation where it could be developed in the near term. Morning. We're standing outside the Old Albanians Rugby Club. It's on the St Albans Harpenden Road between two prestigious towns. We're here for a reason, because we're going to be showing you one of many speculative land sites that have ended up on the internet. Just taking a short walk into the bush here. We've come out to one of the speculative sites sold by a company. You may notice the small stumps in a row. 1, 2, 3. And they carry on in a line like that, designed to demarcate the different plots that were randomly superimposed on this area of agricultural land. This site was chosen because it's adjacent to, you'll see a rugby field over there, some houses just behind the post, and a school on the back end of the plot. Even on the left hand side, beyond the trees, there is other residential. may seem obvious that this kind of site would at some point be developed or given planning position or rezoned for development. However, there was a planning council notice on that tree over there which indicated that it was unlikely at any point soon to receive planning permission. It's been subsequently removed. You can see the plastic ripped off from the trees. When I came on this site some 4 years ago, that notice was up there. As you can see, nothing's changed in 4 years apart from a rather barren empty plot. These signs, if you ring the number, will take you through to the company that was offering this site, and there's nothing but an answering machine. I've not had any messages returned. Please be careful. There are no guarantees of planning permission being given. This agricultural land would have been purchased at anywhere between tops £12,000 per acre, and the plots, 250 square metre big, were being marketed at 15, 20 plus £1,000 per item. This does not represent value, and there's not necessarily any likelihood that even in your lifetime necessarily that planning permission will be granted. I'm going to read to you from the Campaign to Protect Rural England. A couple of paragraphs. These documents will be available along with this YouTube link, but this will give you an idea of how these companies are being rejected, and how both councils and the Campaign to Protect Rural England are resisting their operations immensely, and they're not supported at all. The great land banking carve-up, a very risky investment which messes up the countryside. This is quoted straight from the Campaign to Protect Rural England. Hundreds of pieces of English countryside are being sold direct to the public, both in the UK and overseas, as a supposedly surefire way of making up large amounts of money. These so-called land banking schemes have sprung up in recent years, aimed at gullible punters across the globe, and they are starting to mess up the countryside. A CPRE investigation has now found 29 land banking operations marketing plots to the global audience around the world. The operators sell the land in tiny plots on the basis that it is bound to rise one day when houses will be built on them. They use the internet or flyers placed in glossy magazines, or even full-page advertisements in national newspapers. But that one day may never be in that investor's lifetime. Local council planners often insist the sites in question are the very last place they would want to see housing development, and that is that it has no prospect of getting planning permission. CPRE also argues that these businesses need authorization from the Financial Services Authority in order to realize the development gains they refer to. But so far as we are aware, none of them have such authorization. The operators involved don't tell the punters, some of them on the other side of the world, these inconvenient facts. The result is a fast-growing mess. The sites in question are sometimes divided up into plots by stakes and fencing, spoiling their appearance. If the site remains as undeveloped countryside, which nearly all of them will, there is no incentive to look after the land, nor is there any easily enforceable obligation to do so. So it is likely to become a mass of scrub and a haunt for fly tippers. For SA people, fly tipping is commonly known as dumping. In other words, these sites will look a mess. Please be careful. This property was bought at agricultural prices and being sold at a far, far higher price, being marketed to people outside the country for specific reasons that you're not likely to see these notices. You're not familiar with the UK land and planning process and how stringent they are on their greenbelt. Please be cautious and avoid making investments of such nature. If you wish to discuss this with us, please feel free to contact us through our website, 3Ws, bluecraneproperty.com.